mental, but we have a limited agenda tonight, but nonetheless, it's very important stuff. Except for I grabbed the wrong binder. My bad. Sorry. Got in a rush. Be right back.
Let's hear it, Josh. Oh. Patrick?
No one wants to sing. How about you? You can sing. We'll clear the table.
Oh, I know. But I'm still live, and yeah, I don't know what our YouTube channel's rated as.
G. Rated G.
Now I'm ready. Sorry, I had my board of public works. Yeah, let's call the meeting to order. If you wouldn't mind, as we call the brother meetings, we'll recite the Lord's Prayer followed by the pledge of allegiance. Our Father, who art in heaven.
Thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may have a roll call, please.
Good evening, Council. Datillo, Dan.
Here.
Bartlett.
Here.
Chatham.
Here.
Schaefer.
Here.
Lucy Datillo.
Here.
And Carla Krebs has an approved absence. And Tevenall.
Here.
All right. Council, have you had an opportunity to review the minutes from February the 7th? And if so, we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, moving on. We'll move straight into resolutions or bills. We just have one tonight. Joe?
Yeah, this is resolution number 2C-2023, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, approving class action settlement. Whereas the City of Madison has been a plaintiff in multiple types of litigation involving the misuse of opioid drugs both by pharmaceutical companies and manufacturers. Whereas previously the City of Madison, as part of a class action lawsuit, settled part of this litigation and received a settlement. Currently, the City of Madison is a member of a class action which has named defendants, which include Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, Teva, and Algeron. Whereas Council for the City of Madison has informed the City that a settlement has been reached with the above defendants, wherein the City of Madison is entitled to a portion of said settlement funds. Whereas the current agreed settlement is as follows: Walgreens to pay up to $5.7 billion over 15 years, Walmart to pay $2.75 billion over 6 years, CVS to pay $5 billion over 10 years, Teva to pay $4.25 billion, including $3.7 billion to be paid over 13 years, as well as an option of $1.2 billion worth of its generic version of the drug Narcan over 10 years, which agreed upon cash equivalent over 13 years, and Algeron to pay $2.37 billion over 7 years. Whereas the Common Council believes it is in the best interest of the City of Madison that the terms of the above agreed settlement be approved and entered into. And now therefore be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of Madison, Indiana, that the Common Council hereby approves the terms of the above stated agreed settlement. The Common Council hereby authorizes the mayor and the City of Madison to execute all necessary documents to effectuate the agreed settlement on behalf of the City of Madison, and this resolution shall take immediate effect upon adoption by the Council. This is sponsored by Councilman Bartlett. This is just another part of the opioid litigation that we entered into some years ago. And these are some other defendants, and it's a greater part of a class action suit. Our counsel who represents us in this class action suit is recommending that we go forward with this, as frankly all of the other members of the class are doing so as well. And we're unsure at this juncture as to what portion of the settlement that we will be entitled to, but it'll be divided up much like the others, and it's apportioned out and agreed upon at a later date. But this will just settle the actual dispute that we have with these companies. So, does anybody have any questions?
This one is separate and different from the state that we had earlier.
Yeah, I don't know. And so the way these things kind of work is they get settled, and there's a possibility that the Attorney General's office could, I think, come in and have some type of involvement in this with regard to apportioning the funds. But it's akin to, but it's different than what we had already previously done.
Thank you.
We had a prior settlement. Jefferson County received $275,000, City of Madison received $72,000, Hanover received $6,000. It took a couple of years for a final determination of the amount appropriated through the Attorney General's office, and so I don't expect this one to take that long, but it is just part of that process, and now it'll become a waiting game.
Any other questions? Okay, hearing none, if we could have if there's a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the resolution 2C 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any discussion by anybody in the audience? Hearing and seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Bartlett,
Yes.
Chatham,
Yes.
Schaefer,
Yes.
Lucy DiTillo,
Yes.
Tevenall,
Yes.
and Dan DiTillo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Council, are there any reports, recommendations, or other business of standing select committees of City Council? We do have one mayor appointment to the Tree Board recommended, and I believe you have background information for Thomas Stark. He just recently completed a term on Historic District Board of Review, and we have a couple of vacancies now on the Tree Board, and he is willing to serve on the Tree Board. So I would ask for approval for Tom Stark to join Tree Board. May we have a motion for that, please?
I have a motion for Thomas Stark to be placed on the tree board.
Thank you.
Seconded.
Okay. Any
I'm sorry,
discussion?
who second?
I did.
I think it was Josh.
I beat him to it.
Any discussion? Comments or questions? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, we do have one report of department head, Utility Superintendent Brian Jackson.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give a little brief update and review on kind of what happened, or what went on in the Water and Sewer Department in 2022. Don't worry, it's going to be brief. It's mainly just about the superintendents. Last year, we had some changes in our superintendents of our water and sewer departments. In water, in March of 2022, our water superintendent at the time, Ron Guyman, retired, and he was replaced with an existing employee, Jay Mitchell. Jay's been with the city since 2007, and he has both his water license, and he's actually been our certified operator for quite some time. In wastewater, the wastewater superintendent, Jay Thompson, he resigned in October of 2022 and took a job at the Jeffersonville wastewater plant. He'd been with the city 7 years. It took a few months to find a replacement because we're a Class 3 plant, and it's hard to find Class 3 operators that are willing to come and work here. Even though he left and we didn't replace him for probably a couple months, he stayed on as a part-time basis as our operator in charge. I communicated with his new boss in Jeffersonville, and he was okay with that. But on January 5th, 2023, we hired Rebecca Frakes. She's a Class 4 operator, and she will be our responsible operator in charge. And like I said, Madison's just a Class 3 plant. And she, I lost my place, sorry about that. Oh, she formerly worked in Edinburgh. We kind of poached her from the Edinburgh wastewater treatment plant. And she, before she came to Madison, and she also worked at Clarksville for many years in their waste treatment plant. She's still getting acclimated. It's still only February. There's a lot to learn. No two plants run the same. Jay is still on call somewhat if we need him. So far, she's only needed him a few times. But we do a lot of different reports that he will help with probably throughout the year. But at some point this year, we should be able to cut all ties with Jay. But he'll be willing to help. He left on good terms. He just took a better job. Can't blame the guy for that. And that's pretty much a summation of what's happened this past year with our superintendents. So hopefully we get some that stay for a while, because that's a dramatic change to overcome when that happens. The other thing I was going to give you was a little water project update. Right now for Division A, the supply and water treatment improvements, the O'Mara, he's done his initial assessment and some preliminary work, but the materials he's ordered and he's to do his required updates and repairs, and he's still waiting on some of the materials to arrive. And once he starts that, he's submitted to the engineers a schedule and an estimated time frame, but it's really what's dictating his start time is the materials. For Division B on the tanks, he actually has submitted his calendar, and he plans on starting the second week in March, and he will start rehabbing and rehabilitating the tanks. And I believe he's going to start with the hilltop tank or the hillside tank downtown. It's some minor repairs, so it shouldn't be as long, and then we'll work our way through it, and hopefully we don't see any disruptions. If the Division C has already started, they've been working over on East Street and out on Flint Street. They've had some traffic issues that we've been trying to address, and we're actually having a meeting next Monday, the first construction meeting, and we'll be discussing some of that then. Other than that, any questions? Come on, Dan. I can hear you. You don't have to. Oh, there.
So I'm almost 100% sure it's to do with this new project, but would there be a reason a van would be driving around filming in neighborhood?
Yes,
that's for the
I should probably bring that up. The engineers required all three projects to go around and videotape everything before they started their project. So they had multiple people throughout the town. Yeah, you're not the first person to ask me that question. I had somebody call from Sunrise at one point saying, hey, they said they're working, and because we're doing a project in Sunrise, part of this project, and we require them to videotape anything beforehand. So if something happens, we have a video record. They say, well, we didn't do that. We bring out the video and said, well, here's what it looked like before, here's what it looked like now. So that there's no, you did that, we did that. We have a video record of everything.
That's all I needed. Thank you.
That's no problem.
Dan, there is another video crew in town, just in case you see them, but they're going to spend most of their time probably downtown, and it's producers from the Magnolia Network who are filming the restoration of the Manser building here with the Becks who bought that property. So it's not a secret anymore that they're here in town, but City Madison is going to be prominently on display over the course of the next 6 to 9 months as they record for that television show. Has nothing to do with Brian, but
no,
we can
I was going to say, I don't think that has
for
anything
Brian.
to do with me. That's all I have. Thanks, guys and ladies.
Any questions for Brian? We'll have public comment in just a little bit. Annalise, if that's okay.
Question
All right.
for Robert.
Oh, okay. Brian, will you stick around?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Okay. Moving on, there are no bills on third or second reading. And Annalisa, we are to you now.
Pardon?
We are to you. Public comment.
Oh, for crying out loud.
If you would like to come to the podium, name and address, and make your statement, please. Thank you.
My name is Annalisa Strickland. I live downtown in Madison.
on Mulberry. And my question was about, everybody's talking about the chemical spill up in Ohio and Pennsylvania,
Okay.
and we're downriver. So I just wondered if we were actively testing our water, just in case, or if we're strongly in contact with Cincinnati to see if anything's come through them before it gets to us. And if there's no reason to worry, like Brian just said, maybe everybody needs to hear that. So,
I think it's a good question, probably on a lot of people's minds, so I'll ask Brian to maybe come to the podium and address that, and I can share what I know as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you, Allison.
Right, we are actually having a conference call tomorrow
Yes.
to go over that, but that chemical spill really affects us not at all. They've done testing in Cincinnati too, and by the time it gets here, it's going to be so diluted. There's been a lot of stuff on the internet, most of it not true. We don't really pull our water from the river anyway. We pull it from aquifers, and the reason some of the cities along the river are concerned, they pull surface water, which means they suck it directly out of the river, which we do not do. But even so, even Cincinnati, I was reading an article today that they've tested it, and by the way, we test our water daily. Multiple locations, we test the water daily, but that's an IDEM requirement. They have not found any traces near Cincinnati. The chemical evaporates, it gets diluted, and there's a whole bunch of things. There was only, I think it was one chemical that could possibly affect you, and by the time it got here from Pittsburgh, it was going to be gone. And I think they've only found traces way up the Ohio River, even further away than Cincinnati. And those traces were less than toxic. You know, we have traces of all kinds of elements in the water, and as long as they're below a certain threshold, they're not detrimental to you.
Yeah, and on that note, Brian mentioned we'll have a call tomorrow with IDEM and Congresswoman Houchin, and then we've also received reports from Louisville Water, large water company as well. They've tested water all the way up to Markland and down, no contamination. I've been in contact with our friends at Indiana American Water, which is a large water company, probably the largest in the state. They have water plants all the way up the Ohio River and into Virginia and up into Pennsylvania, and there's no contamination that they've detected either. So, as Brian said, we monitor our water quality very closely, but we are also taking action to learn and stay in contact with IDEM to make sure that there's no pollution across the river that we would be concerned about. Thank you, Brian. Okay, anybody else would like to address City Council or the Mayor's office? Please come to the podium. Hearing none, I just have a couple announcements, and I do want to recognize two proclamations from Governor Holcomb. Oh, Joe's got to leave. One is EMA Appreciation Week. I'd like to read a proclamation and recognize the contributions that Troy Morgan and the staff at Jefferson County EMA, their service to our community through a couple of big disasters in Madison, COVID response, as well as the flash flood response, and then the flash flood response to Jefferson County last fall. But here's a proclamation. Emergency management agencies are a vital public service to the communities of Indiana. Every emergency begins and ends locally, such as the COVID-19 pandemic that has impacted all 92 Indiana counties. Whereas personnel from the 92 emergency management agencies across the state are part of the first line of response to natural and man-made disasters. Whereas emergency managers help draft disaster response plans, organize trainings that include first responders and other community partners to practice response plans, draft plans that help minimize the impact of disasters, work in state and federal agencies on assistance programs, and find the most effective methods of disaster recovery. Whereas it is important for Hoosiers to recognize the dedication and accomplishments of these highly trained professionals, Governor Eric Holcomb proclaimed the week of February 19th through the 25th as EMA Appreciation Week. So I want to send our gratitude to them. And then earlier today I spoke at Leadership Jefferson County, and one of their hosts was our FFA students from Madison. Coincidentally, this is also FFA Week. So I'd like to read Governor Holcomb's proclamation for FFA Week. The National FFA Organization is a national youth organization comprised of 653,000 student members as part of 8,568 local chapters in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Whereas FFA and agricultural education provide a strong foundation for the youth of America and the future of the food, fiber, and natural resource systems while promoting premier leadership, personal growth, and career success among its members. Whereas agricultural education and FFA ensure a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing demands in the science, business, and technology of agriculture. Whereas FFA continues to help the next generation rise up to meet those challenges by helping its members to develop their own unique talents and explore their interests in a broad range of agricultural career pathways. The FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, gives direction of purpose to these students who take action and have roles in succeeding in agricultural education. Governor Holcomb proclaimed the week of February 18th to the 25th FFA week in the state of Indiana and invites all citizens to note this occasion. And I'd like to send my gratitude to them too, and having lots of family members who participated in FFA and went on to school at Purdue and other agricultural programs. It's an invaluable program. A couple other updates. There was a call for projects that we responded to last week. We call it Ready 1.5, but there's potentially additional monies through the IEDC and the Southern Indiana RDA for additional projects. As you know, Destination Madison plan consisted of approximately 8 individual projects that comprise the plan. We're actively working on 3 of those now, the Gateway, Mulberry Street Arts Corridor, Comfort Station. So we resubmitted a couple of the plans for in Destination Madison for 1.5. We'll learn probably in May if there's additional monies that will actually be returned to the RDA for reallocation. They have to reallocate the money per IEDC's requirements by the end of June. So we're hoping that those projects will be funded, and that is an extension of the Mulberry Street Arts Corridor leading down to the super overlook that we had submitted that was in our original Destination Madison plan. There are a couple of House bills that we're closely watching. House Bill 1085, which is going to apply some new regulations to our tax increment financing district, many of which are not favorable to the city. And then House Bill 1499, which is property tax relief. We're monitoring that as well to see what impact that may have on our second half of 2023, because there's a provision in there that could potentially reduce our levy in 2023. So that's why we're concerned about it, because everybody's already approved their budgets. And then relative to public health, Senate Bill 4 is something we're closely watching too, because that will bring significantly more resources to our local health department through public health legislation to improve health and wellness across the state. I want to welcome Mr. Barger's class again, and I will pause there, giving you lots of updates. Council, if you have anything you'd like to add, now would be the time. Lots going on, so stay tuned. More to come. A lot of great things happening. And also want to mention that we'll have a groundbreaking tomorrow at Gaines Park. Everybody's invited to attend that, but those are improvements to Gaines Park in recognition of Black history and Gaines Park's contributions to the city of Madison. We started talking about those 2 years ago, and with the final design and appropriation of funding from our ARPA monies, we're now able to move forward with the Gaines Park project, as well as, Crystal Beach, and then also Georgetown District. I'll pause there. Unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what time is that groundbreaking?
5:30. And it will be at Gaines Park.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? If not, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move for adjournment.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, council.